Do we have any subjects on offhand? We'll figure stuff out.
Great. Our sweatshirts.
That's where we're starting. Okay. Hey, I'm Obi, that's it, and we are drinking from the Garden Hose, your favorite podcast. Catch us wherever you get podcasts, whether it's Google, Apple, Spotify. We're there. Remember, like us, subscribe, leave feedback, download us. We love to hear from you. Ed, how are you?
Obi, I am doing well, and just an amazing surprise when I logged on to this Zoom tonight to talk to you, and you were wearing a Rutgers sweatshirt. And why was that an amazing surprise to me, Obi?
Because Ed, you're wearing a Rutgers sweatshirt, a red one.
Exactly, just like yours. And so, I don't know, maybe this is some feedback. Should we change the podcast name to the Twin Sweatshirt Guys?
Yeah, that's a great name, Twin Sweatshirt Guys.
I just came up with it. Pretty good, right?
You're rolling now. That's it, Twin Sweatshirt Guys. We get a whole new thing. I thought you'd come up with like, "Are you hungry?" or "Are you Gen X?" or something would be like, the name of the podcast. Hashtag Are You Gen X?
Hashtag We Wear Hoodies Even Though We're Old and Cranky?
Hashtag It's Cold in My House because I'm not paying for heat.
Yeah, I came back from the gym and I was wearing so here's the thing, Obi. I'm back into the gym. Now, my youngest kid will tell me, and maybe I've told you this before, that I need to exercise different if I've been going to the gym because I'm still fat. She told me. And she said that again to me today. But anyway, I go and I've been trying to delay aging, I guess, right? Been reading a lot that the best way to live a long life is to keep your muscle mass up, right? So I'm like, great, screw cardio, we're just lifting, right?
Right.
So I'm lifting, but there's a couple problems with that. One is everything hurts.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Everything hurts. And I'm not talking about just the muscles. I'm talking about the joints, the ligaments, the tendon, everything hurts. And you gotta, as you're working out, you gotta think, am I just being a stubborn old man and fighting through this? Or could I really hurt myself? What should I do here? And of course, I'm a stubborn old man and I don't stop. But here, the point where I was going with this is, I feel like I've done a full circle in life because now that the weather's getting cold and I have a child in college and you do as well. So you know this, right? When it gets cold, you still don't wear a jacket. Like these college kids, we were talking about this. Oh, we got to buy the older kid a jacket for, because it's winter's coming. And my wife said, she's not going to wear a jacket. College kids don't wear a jacket. And they wear hoodies like we do, obviously. And so it got me thinking that, remember we used to go out to bars? Nobody wore a jacket to the bar. Do you remember freezing your ass off, walking to the bar wearing like a long sleeve structure shirt? You'd freeze your ass off, but the walk home was warm. Remember that?
Because you'd lose your jacket if you brought it to the bar. I mean, especially when we were not at like sit down at a table bar. Like we were at a stand up, unless you were sitting up at the bar. Everything was like, 3 inches to move. You lost that jacket and you forgot to bring it home if you left it there. And it was gone the next day.
Well, where could you even leave I would never, like, where would you leave it? And some asshole, it was cold. Some assholes could steal it.
Yeah, I don't know where you would steal the bar at the nightclub at all. I don't even know if there was hangers for your jacket at the nightclub.
Right, and you certainly couldn't wear it because it was freaking hot in there with so many people belly to belly and butt to butt, right? So, So anyway, and by the way, we got to come back to the bar thing because there's something else about that whole bar scene that I want to touch on in a second. But so I feel like I'm a college kid now going to a bar. Instead, I'm going to the gym. Like I don't want to deal with a locker or anything. Like I'm in and I'm out. So I find myself taking my jacket off as I get out of my car, leaving it in my car, and just walking in a t-shirt to work out. And again, same thing, freeze my ass off going in, but coming out, not so cold.
Yeah, I'm a locker guy.
Yeah, I used to be a locker guy. So two things on that. One, I used to be a locker guy. But then I just realized I'm not coming from work. I'm like working from home. So I'm coming from working at home. So I can dress accordingly. So then I'm like, it's such an extra step to have to use a locker if I'm already dressed accordingly.
Okay, so here's the real thing. Yeah, I just realized this as you said it. When I go to the gym to work out, I'm also going to go to Kumdo, which means I have to change into my Kumdo outfit anyway. So the amount of stuff I bring in requires.
You said come. You said come dough.
I know, and you laughed. And you're continuing to laugh.
Yeah, it's funny.
But I'll use, you know what? I'll use a Japanese term, prevent you from laughing. And it's the term that we use now. When I go to Kendo, I have to bring in so much stuff. I have to go to the locker anyway. But
hey, by the way, this is a comedy podcast. Call it Kumdo.
Okay, I'll use the Korean term Kumdo, which is what I started learning, and then they switched it on me. But and then I have enough weights downstairs. I don't need to go to a gym. I have, All
right. So that's why you're a locker guy. So I'm going to tell you the other reason I'm not a locker guy.
I know why you're not a locker guy. Come on.
You're so wrong because you're not even going to get it. So this is why I'm not a locker guy anymore. So
you can't remember a combination. You're so old.
Well, actually, you almost got it. What happened was I can't see. I can't see without my glasses, like up close. And so it was one of these build your own combo lockers. Like you got to set the combo, then you shut it and then lock it and then you mess it up. And somewhere along the line, either I couldn't see it when I was setting it, or I couldn't see it when I was trying to open it, but I could not open the goddamn locker. And I had to go to the front desk and they had to give me the key. And I was like so emasculated that I'm one of the old dudes. Like I have made fun of for years the people who forget their combo. And I'm that guy. I didn't forget it. In my defense, I'm just blind like Mr. Magoo.
In your Rutgers sweatshirt.
I was not wearing my Rutgers sweatshirt that day, but so that's why I don't use a locker. I can't see the numbers on the combo. So that's the other real reason. So anyway, getting back to this. So I came back from the gym. That's why I had to put the hoodie on, because then I started to get chilly because of course we have to keep the house like an ice box because of the aging process as well. So Obi, I want to go back to that bar scenario because I'm not sure we talked about this. But the other reason you probably wouldn't bring your jacket and you tried to dress light when you went to the bars back then was smoking was allowed in the bars.
Smoking was allowed in the bar.
And when you would come home from the bar, you wouldn't notice it at the moment, just like you wouldn't notice that you were cold. But the next morning, everything you wore just smelled like an ashtray.
This is true. There was no way around it. Whether you smoked or you didn't smoke, everything smelled like cigarettes. Absolutely.
And if you had long hair, your hair smelled like cigarettes.
Which I did. I had hair and it was long.
And you would, if you were really smart about it, you'd have to take a shower after you got back from the bar to get all the cigarette smoke out of you. But so anyway, just thinking back to the bar scene, like you couldn't wear your jacket, you smelled like smoke. Those were the days.
So speaking of the bar scene, by the time this podcast goes out, I will have not gone to a Tool concert that a buddy of mine invited me to because I have to go. He invited me last minute, and I have other plans that I could not move. And this weekend, so while you're listening to this, I am going to a bar to see a band play. So,
like how big of a bar?
The Foundry in Philadelphia. I don't know how big of a bar it is, but it's all general admission. So I get the sense like bigger than what we went to, but a bar, a standing room only type concert. All
right. So you're going. So this is good because you're old and you're going to a bar. Because I was real proud. Like 3 weeks ago, I went out to a bar. Didn't even have food. Just went out to a bar with my wife to have a drink, and I'm old, so I was proud of that. So let's talk about this band. Obi, what time is the band going on? Like, is this a 7 o'clock show?
This is an 8 o'clock show.
Okay, so it's geared towards old people. Because if I remember correctly, back in the day, when I was in my early 20s and would go to the bar, the band wouldn't go on until 10 or 10:30.
I think it was. I think the opening act went on at 8, and then the band went on at 9. But if you went to if you went to a smaller location like this, I think 8 o'clock was normal. And I will say this: I'm going to this show specifically because a friend of mine who is our age, maybe 5 years younger, if that.
Well, that matters. That matters, though.
Yeah. Now I gotta see. So his brother was 1 year young. I think 4 years younger.
I still think that leap from like 45, 46 to 50 is a doozy.
But the lead singer is 53.
All right, so it's got to start early.
Yeah. I mean, it's a short tour.
Is this a famous band? Is this like somebody like Rat?
No. This is Mike Dorthey. If I even said his name right. My friend is he's not listed when you look on the album. He's just doing the touring musician thing.
All right. So you're going to see a friend and an early old person show time.
Yeah.
All right.
And I took the day off from work the next day because, I'm not going to be useful at all.
And everything's going to hurt.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be standing. I'm looking. I'm like, I'm seeing pictures of inside. It looks like there might actually be chairs. That will be exciting.
Well, it may be needed. Now, Obi, when you go to this show, I have to ask, are you a watch through your phone type of guy? Or are you I get so pissed off at the people watching through their phone type of guy?
So I am the type of guy who the last time I was at a show, nobody watched it through their phone.
Oh, so it's been that long since you've been to a show?
Let's see. I saw this same guy in a different band play maybe 5 years ago at an outdoor venue. But none of the shows I've been to are popular enough, I think, for people to watch through their phones, because I think you only watch through your phones. I think you watch through your phone when you want to show off on the internet that you were there. I think if you just want to remember you were there, you don't watch through your phone. You just maybe take a little video of it and move on with life. But
so I would agree with you, Obi, on that, because I went to 3 big rock shows or 3 big shows this year. And yes, there are people watching through their phone without a doubt. And they record like the entire concert on their cell phone. And then there's old guys like me who pull their phone out and record like 24 seconds of a song. And you do it multiple times throughout the night. And then like the next day when you start looking at it, you're like, why did I stop recording at that point? The song was just getting good, or like. And so now I have these random like 15 to 25 second videos of random songs and random parts that are useless, basically.
Yeah. I can imagine. No, we will see how I am. The phone will be charged. I'm supposed to meet up with him in between sound check and the show. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully we'll have a good time.
All right. Are you gonna bring a lighter?
I should go get a Zippo because because Zippos are cheap now. It's another thing. This is something I learned this week. Like when people used to smoke, a cheap Zippo 30 years ago, a cheap one was $24. A cheap Zippo now has dropped to $10. So with inflation, that Zippo has lost like 80% of its value or something like that. I'm making up numbers here.
Yeah, and you think they just had so many Zippos on hand? Like when people stopped smoking, they were just stuck with a lot of inventory, and they're like, "Shit, mark it down."
No, I just think that the brand still exists and they can't get the same profit. I mean, they still sell some for like $80, but I just think that to get the base Zippo off to people to buy it, like who needs a Zippo?
Yeah,
it's so yeah.
All right. So, Obi, since you're talking about bars and we're talking about the good old days, and we're also talking about the timing of this podcast, shortly after this podcast drops is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And I think we all know, and if you don't know, this is the factual part of the podcast. But Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, is the biggest bar night of the year for a lot of different reasons, but mostly because people are coming home and college kids, etc. So, Obi, one, were you a big night before Thanksgiving bar guy? And number two, actually, three-part question. Were you a big guy? Two, will you be going out this year on Wednesday? And three, since you have a son who is of age to go out, how do you feel about him if he is going out on that evening, knowing all the shenanigans that go on that evening?
Well, yes, I definitely have some very fond memories of kegs and eggs. That's what they call it in this neck of the woods. Although when I was going out, it was not called kegs and eggs. It was like the only time of the year I ever went to one. Like the only time I ever went to the local bar in my town was on this day. Like otherwise, I would, I never ended up in that bar. So yeah, and it was a crazy night out. It was the most regular bar you would go to and grab a table with some guys and maybe play a game of darts in. You couldn't move in. So yes, it was crazy. Lots of great times. No, I am not putting myself through that shit at all this year. Nope, never, wouldn't even fathom it. And then finally, I don't know what he's doing. I think as of right now, we are picking him up on Saturday, and he will be spending the entire week here. And if that's the case, I imagine he will be going out with his friends that night. But whether they will go out to a bar or not remains to be seen. So his friends at school apparently drink a lot more than the guys and girls he's still friends with who live in this neck of the woods.
Okay. All right. So it's just interesting to see. And just, because I know everyone's dying to know what I'm doing. I also would not be going out to a bar the night before Thanksgiving. If I were to go out to a bar, I would have to be out of that bar by 8:00 or 8:30 at the latest. So it really wouldn't look like a bar while I was there. It would look more like a restaurant, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Because most of the bars we would frequent back in the day were actually restaurants. It's not like, when I was a college kid, I can't say I was ever really going to a bar.
When you were a college kid?
Yeah, except for when I was at college.
Right.
But when I came home to the hometown, like the bar, I was afraid of the bars. If you know what I'm like, the bars were where the townies hung out, the old guys that and they didn't want you around. So where you really went were the restaurants that at 9:00 moved all the tables out of the way and got a DJ and start and used the bars. Right, that's really where we went.
So I know what you're talking about, but and definitely for kegs and eggs, that the townie bars was it's the only time I went to the townie bar in my town that I can remember. I wouldn't swear on it, and somebody probably has a memory. Oh no, we went to one or whatever, but I did not go to the townie bar. Most of the bars that you are, but I went out, and I even remember going out with you once or twice to real live bars. Especially when you lived in New York State. I wasn't in college then. And by the way, those places were restaurants. You see, here's the thing. Think about this for a second. Go deep back. Maybe I have to hypnotize you for this. If you think about it, we never showed up at those places before 10:30. They looked completely different at 7:00 at night. Trust me, they were not. We think they were bars. They were restaurants. Nah, I can't.
I'm telling you. So you're thinking Ireland's in Suffolk?
Yeah.
That's a restaurant.
No way.
It was a restaurant.
No way Ireland's was a restaurant.
That's why there's booze there. Because it was a restaurant. I'm telling you.
It had upstairs, and then you would go a little 5 steps downstairs to a separate area.
Yeah.
That was a restaurant? They serve food there?
You can understand. Pretty much, Obi, everything's a restaurant.
I mean, I know that I go to places now that are restaurants that later turn into bars.
Yeah, they serve food there. We were just never there before 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock.
I'm sitting here like flabbergasted. Everyone who knows me, we went to Ireland's. Did you know it was a restaurant? Did anyone besides Ed know that Ireland's was a restaurant? I mean, I knew the brew pub was a restaurant, but Ireland?
Yeah, they're restaurants.
What about the places in Nyack?
The place isn't. Oh, a lot of them were restaurants. Yes, they're all restaurants.
Hoboken.
I can't vouch for Hoboken.
Hoboken was night. They were nightclubs.
But you want to know? Well, see, there could be a straight nightclub, but I still think most of the bars in Hoboken are restaurants.
Okay. All right, Matt. All right. You're probably right. I mean, they can't just open at 10.
I mean, here's the thing: we could go out on the street and we could talk to the young people in our town, like in our town that we live in. I guarantee you could do this. You could go talk to them about the restaurants you go to, and you go, they would have the same thing. It's not a restaurant, it's a bar, because they're going there at 11 o'clock. You have no idea what your local places look like at 11 o'clock at night.
Well, I do. Well, there are some places that I know are local bars that so here's really what I thought. I'm an idiot. Everyone's about to. I thought that was a change that happened as we got older. Like I thought that was a modern thing. That now restaurant that there was no more bars. They were just places that are restaurants that turn into bars. But the places I thought that was a recent phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon. It's called old age, dude.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, because there's a place by me, Kaminsky's, which was the first place I had a beer when I moved down here. Right, I came down one day. You know, we kind of had the situation where we were renting, so we had like a month to move. I came down to a bunch of moving without my wife. Like, all right, where did I get a beer? Go over to this restaurant, and I have a beer or two, and it goes from I'm finishing up my cheesesteak, and it's a Monday night, and and by the end of the day. It's a bar, but I'm like, oh, it's like a sports bar. But then later, we'd go there for lunch from work, and and then I would still watch UFC fights there at night, and be like, okay, so we're getting like potato skins and mozzarella sticks along. But you're right, it's a restaurant that just turns into and yes, young people may not even realize that it's a restaurant if they didn't go there with their parents along the way. You're right.
Yeah, right. So you may ask, how did I figure this out?
Yeah, how did you figure it out? Because I thought it was a recent change.
Well, I never even gave it any thought, Obi. I never ever thought about it. I didn't think it was a recent change because I haven't been in a bar since, like I'm saying, like I don't go to bars, I go to restaurants. So anyway, I was at a restaurant and it's like a neighborhood restaurant that me and my wife have stumbled upon. And we're like, this maybe could be our go-to place, kind of a good menu and kind of a good service. And I got a good selection of food and drinks. And as we're there, like the third week in a row we had gone, we went a little later. And when I say a little later, I mean, we might have gotten there at 7, but they started at around 8. There's like two sides. When you walk in, there's a bar right in front of you, like the bar. And then there's a bunch of high tops right around it, right? The bar area. And then when you walk into the left, there's a room and there's a whole bunch of tables in there, table 4, 6, right? All tables in there. So we've always ate at the high tops in the bar area, and there's always been people eating. Well, now all of a sudden 8 o'clock comes and son of a bitch, but they're carrying the tables out of the restaurant outside. They're putting them outside, like stacking them up outside with all the chairs. Like they cleared the whole freaking room out. And then a band comes in to set up. And it dawned on me, like, well, if you come here at 10 o'clock tonight, you're going to not know that this was a restaurant. And that's, my friend, when I realized I used to drink at restaurants all the time.
Okay. Yeah, this is, wow, 50 years old. These are things you learn. To you youngins, like who are like 30, who might be listening, 35, This is important information for you to learn. So you can go to your favorite bar with your kid at 6 o'clock. It's probably a restaurant.
Exactly. Or you could go to you can do that with a brewery too. But yeah.
So I still can't believe that Ireland serves food. It's just.
Well, by the way, it's not Ireland's anymore, so you can't even go fact check me.
I'm sure it's not.
It's something else. But it was Ireland's for a long time. I mean, I think the changeover happened within the last 10 years, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, serve food, man.
All right. That's good to know. And you know what? Getting old sucks. And I forgot our tagline because I'm old. So we'll see you next time.
The charm is that we suck.
I'm old. That's Ed. We'll see you next week on Drinking from the Garden Hose.